Good morning, everybody, and welcome. As you remember, we're doing, what do we call it? Introduction to Mahayana. And Introduction to the Mahayana is based on Maitriya's Buddha's Abhisamaya Alankara, the Panchaparamita synopsis, actually. The Panchaparamita is actually huge volumes, or the volume, whether you count it 12 or 3 or 4 or something, and one. Whichever the way you count, there's a detailed one and the medium and shorter and all that. But sort of a synopsis of explaining of those Maitriya's 5 different teachings, and out of which Abhisamaya Alankara. So that's what we are basing. And the word what we have is Dubda Dambanamdane Sanjalaso Kunjosums. Dubda Dambanamdane Sanjalaso Kunjosum. Dubaranging Olan Damba. Tube Migba Damba Shelan Damba. Tube Dan Kunjosum Landamba. Tube Ngo Tundu Landamba. Jang Ngushin. So I'm sorry, I'm speaking in Tibetan. The nature of the practice is the self, which you already knew. We talked about it. Mahayana is the self. The focus, or the subject, or the goal, what you wanted to be achieved, is enlightenment. Enlightenment is nothing but total knowledge. Language is such that enlightenment can be anything enlightened, So commonly usage, please enlighten me on that. So the people do say that. So all that. So here enlightenment is a total knowledge rather than just simply knowing. Total knowledge of everything simultaneously all the time. Remember, past, present, future, seen together. We mentioned the other day. Remember? So, and also, if you really have a time, opportunity, and interest, the chapter 8 of this Abhisamaya Alankara is talking about the quality of enlightenment. Totally. Physical and all that. All are there. So anyway, I don't mean it's in there and leave it there. But it is really total knowledge. Total knowledge makes it different than where we function. Obvious, right? But the thing is this. Total knowledge is the frequencies in which we function. And for us, it is limited. We can remember the past tense, and we can guess or read the future, but we are at the present. But in total knowledge, past, present, and the future, they read together. They read together. For them, it is all present. That's why one of those exclusive or sambhogakaya qualities is a 5, remember? So anyway, I would not like to talk too long on this Buddha Dharma quality, because we never go down on this, We spent a couple of weeks, a couple of sentences or Sundays already talking about this. So somehow I have to close today on that. So honestly, yet it is so important, not only as the basis of Mahayana practice, but it is the defining point of whether the individual is following Buddha or not. It depends on that. That is really what is it. We normally say whether you define whether you're Buddhist or not Buddhist. We talk about that. But the reality really is whether you're following the Buddha's path or you are not. It depends on that. Definition of being a Buddhist is commonly giving whether you are taking refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and the Sangha or not. That's what we do. But the real reality is, another point is, if you accept for either for logos or for slogans of Buddhism. Or again, all of you, I'm sure most of you, are quite familiar with this. And that is, if the created things are impermanent. So every created phenomena are impermanent. Every contaminated things are suffering. Every phenomena is natural of emptiness. And nirvana is peace, right? And these are the four Buddhist slogans or Buddhist logos. So if you accept that deeply from the heart, you become Buddhist anyway. And so the issue really is that every phenomena, every created phenomena are impermanent, and that is an important point to remember. And also every phenomena is empty. That is the wisdom aspects of the Buddha, Dharma. And the three others are we talked the other day, method we call it, but normally known as compassion, wisdom and compassion. That is not really a direct compassion, but a part of it. It also the suffering is the cause of compassion. Because people suffer, we generate compassion. I mean that way. I don't mean the suffering causes compassion. But the suffering helps, contributes, brings compassion because individual suffers, so people, you see it and you understand the difficulties instead of sort of running away or try to avoid, but understand and almost appreciate. Not appreciate because you are suffering, but appreciate what you're going through by understanding, and you try to understand, feel it. Honestly, feel it. And you look at the people's face and you see the suffering, you feel it. That is very true with everybody. Every one of us are great to cover up. And now, in 2014, we also have a more method of covering. And there's a much more sophisticated makeups. And so you cover much better. But even then, within the crack of your makeup, you see this suffering. People what's going through. And that you appreciate. And you don't, the difference is between the Mahayana practitioners, those of us who claims to be trying to, and those of Theravadan people. Theravadan people do have a compassion. They do care, but they can cut you out. They can cut you out. They realize, they look at you, they respect you, and then they move on. And the Mahayana is supposed to be taking that as your personal problem and looking into it. But without bothering the other person, you can't go like a lot of people do, I'm here to help you. And in the West, it is very good. I like Jehovah's Witnesses. And I did have a number of Jehovah's Witnesses visiting me long time ago, about now 30, 40 years ago, when I was in Dexter, and as well as in the Brook Street. And we do have that constant Jehovah's Witness. I don't think they came much in Cherry Street. And are they still coming there? Once in a while, okay, good. And they never came to Ypsilanti anyway. So, like that, you can't be, Some people we do. We do have a couple of our people who are interested, who are participating in Jolhat. Sort of whether you are invited or not invited, I'm here to help you. That is probably not wise. But other than that, personally, mentally, emotionally, and you should be able to feel it and understand, and appreciate the difficulty of an individual, and take the worry, take the responsibility of solving however the best way you can solve, you can contribute. Only you can contribute. You cannot remove their pain by hand. Buddhas cannot. Tunum dikpa chui mitri, doya dunga chagi misela, nije tokpa shanla po mindi chunye dhamma dhamma choyos. Buddhas cannot wash your negativities or sin, as normal language says, cannot wash them away. And nor they can remove the suffering of people by hand. If so, Buddhas have moved long time ago. Buddhas have washed long time ago. Whatever they have to use, soap or whatever, or maybe no more than soap, maybe they sterilized or whatever, if they could do that, but they cannot. Another one is the development of the Buddhas are not transferable, just like American Express. You cannot transfer. It has to be issued in your own name. So that's just like that. Your development is your own thing. It is your own Dharma. It is your own way of overcoming your difficulties and cause of difficulties. Suffering and the cause of suffering overcomes by Dharma. And Dharma is the positivity gain by getting rid of negativities. Honestly, we talked many times, and that's the one what you build up. I talked the other day, you build top of water in every day in the bucket. There will be a time the bucket will be filled. And that's what I'm talking about it. And that is our Dharma. That is your Dharma. That is my Dharma. That's what we look for. That's what we build. A spiritual development is also that. You don't look for spiritual development immediately some clairvoyant, immediately somebody who's flying in the air, or getting under the water or ground, remaining there hours. So these are the symptoms of spiritual development. It's not spiritual development. So honestly, and it doesn't come that way. It come built drop by drop, honestly, very, very slow, very difficult every time. Because of our negative emotions are so strong, so everywhere our mind is clear, you try to do something good, but these negative emotions will just twist you either right or wrong. Say a word. Somebody asks you a question, you get angry. For what? Silly goat. Absolutely. Just because they ask me a question. Why people get angry? Just because somebody asks you a question. Why? Because you are hiding something. You are hiding something, and the person is coming closer to you, is ready to bust you out, and that's why what I call it porcupine attitude. Porcupine attitude. That's what it is. So that is how our negative emotions twist us. So instead of nice, kind, virtuous, wonderful, gentle, compassionate, you become irritated, angry, hatred-oriented, and all these things. That's exactly what happens in our life every day. And no one in the morning when you get up, you have your shower, you're clean, and you're looking forward. No one comes out saying, I'm going to be angry today, I'm going to hate it today, I'm going to be... No one comes that way. Everyone comes out for nice weather, beautiful, outside is great, color is changing, and a beautiful color, everything is great, and looking forward. Yet, something like that, something like this, somebody asks a question, or somebody look at you slightly different, then you get angry. You become sensitive and angry and all that. And that is how our negative emotions controlling us. That's not you. That is your negative emotions. So when you're affected, your mind is affected by that, then everything is you have to fight for. And every method you use, everything you say or think or do is meant for fighting. Just to struggle and fighting. A waste of energy, waste of your virtue, waste of your mind, waste of your time, waste of everything. Instead of helping yourself, you gain tremendous negativities, which you suffer for lives in future. And that's what you wasted. Not only you wasted your time now, you wasted your time future as well. So understanding that is understanding of Dharma. That is Dharma begin to understand. This is the negativities. They have these consequences. If I engage a minute or two or hour or day, so how much consequences that I'll have. Knowing that avoiding that. It's called good person. It's called Dharma people. It's called Dharma. Honestly, whether you took refuge in Buddha, Dharma, or Sangha or not, that is Dharma. Because you have to say Dharma is valuable with everybody else, whether you're Buddhist or not. Every human being, every living being are eligible to become Buddha. So that's it. And that's why I say you don't have to be Buddhist to become Buddha. Honestly, every human being are eligible to become Buddha. They may not call it Buddha, whatever the heck you're going to call, but it is whatever it is, a total knowledge, almighty state, whatever you call it, the best achievement, and whatever it is, that's what it is, honestly. So that's why virtues are, whether you're Buddhist or not Buddhist, it's the same thing. You don't have a separate virtue for Christians, and a separate virtue for Buddhists, and separate virtue for the Hindus, and separate virtue for all other things. Well, another thing is whatever it is, the violence are, some people may interpret violence as, some part of violence as virtues, as we see today. What's happening in the world today with ISIS? What is, how do you pronounce that? Huh? ISIS, yeah. ISIS. Unfortunately, violence and the taking a most precious life, most precious thing people process, that is the life. So taking a life and beheading, all that is not virtuous, no matter whoever says whatever. Because it is violence, it is a hatred, it is a hurt, and it is a revenge, it is every terrible thing that you can think of it. It is, and it continues. Because remember, violence brings violence. Love brings love, compassion brings compassion, violence brings violence. So it is cause of suffering, miserable suffering throughout the world. So that cannot be, no matter whoever says what. It cannot be virtuous, cannot be good. Honestly, other than that, the virtues are same. Any other, either whether it is Judeo-Christian, Hindu, Muslim, whatever, the same virtue and the same negativity, because the karma applies equally to everybody. It really, karma applies equally to everybody. There is no, whether your tradition accept word or concept of karma or not, that doesn't make karma not applicable. Karma is applicable. That's how I think. And that's what it is. And that is how your Dharma works anyway. So I better finish it off. We need to talk about the benefits, right? Benefits, and we counted everything else, all of them. Well, by taking a refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and the Sangha, and then one benefit, you become Buddhist. So basis of all vows, and you think the vows are not so important, but vows are very important. Vows are very, very important, because if you don't have vows, and if you don't engage any negativities, you did not engage in negativity, you just don't have the negativities, but doesn't mean you gain the positivityness of not engaging that negativities. The vows make you do that. Why? Because you're committing yourself. You're promising yourself. You are committing yourself, saying, I will. Well, the same thing wherever, if you look in Judeo-Christian, thou shalt not kill. And in the Buddhism, you look, one should not kill human beings, right? We don't say thou shalt not kill. We just say don't kill human beings. Otherwise, it's the same thing, isn't it? And no sexual misconduct goes everywhere. And not take something that will not belong to you. Stealing goes everywhere. Not only a religion, but even a good human character, good human beings. You know that His Holiness used to say, warm heart, good human, I don't know what he called it. Anyway, so much emphasized by His Holiness many times for that. Anyway, so these are the basically when you are not doing it, and you are not doing it. But if you have a vow, every minute you are not doing it, you are building up the virtue of not doing it. And that's why vows are important. Though many of the vows are celibacy vows, but there are a lot of lay vows too. Lay vow. And we do have many people. The other day I mentioned some people, some of us, some of you took a vow without knowing what you do get, and then you suddenly realize you cannot take any more intoxication and so on and so forth. And literally, throughout your life, people are doing that. And that I appreciate. We had a number of people in Jewel Heart who's doing that, who doesn't even know what they took it. Some of them knowingly took it, some of them not knowingly participated, and now following like a religion. And it is great. And I appreciate. And many of us don't do that. We can, like me, I can take every vow that I can take it ever existed in Buddhism, and then broke them one after the another. I was a monk, so broke my monk vows. You know that. So, and I was a novice, broke my novice vows. Full-fledged bhikshu, broke that vow. Everything. And so then we get a lot of downfalls of the Vajrayana vows, every minute of it. Remember one time we had the thing during the retreat. You do, what do you call those? Skits. Skits, yeah. And in one of the skits, and that calibre of Adisha travel, I remember that Harmud with the shining head and riding on stick and walking through. And suddenly you get off the stick horse and say, well, I got a downfalls and I have to purify. 2 minutes you walk, not 2 minutes, 2 steps you walk, and now again you get off the horse, and I have to, talking about Adisha, who did that. And so for us, for sure, there are definitely hundreds of downfalls every time, not every time, almost all the time we have it. So that's why very often you should do purifications. Purifications. All this, either 35 Buddha purification, or general purification, or Vajrasattva recitation, or most important, Tibetan Shinto Miseva, Tenezoba, Chanju Sememba, Keshan Hangisijin Manjus, body mind. Shantideva said, such a powerful negativity cannot be overpowered by any other virtue except these body chitta or body mind. Tibetan Shinto Miseva, Tenezoba, Chanju Sememba, Keshan Hangisijin Manjus, and that is the compassion, ultimate, unlimited, unconditioned compassion. That is best, one of the best methods. And then wisdom, emptiness. Nagarajuna is a kaza. Tasum serva some jijang, silver rubu jemanjus. Just developing doubt alone will turn the samsara into pieces. So these are the true best way of purifying. Then you can do prostration. There are so many things, circumambulations, and all of those are very helpful physically as well as emotionally and all that. So otherwise we have a tendency to become couch potatoes. But the Western people are mostly active. And Eastern lazy, laziness is supposed to be my subject today to talk. So now my time is gone, my talk is not begin even. So anyway, so we do have that tremendous amount of laziness. We engage in laziness. You know what do we call it? We have, the Western people have the expression, if you drive too fast, you call it lead foot. Right? Lead foot. Lead foot. Okay, now what I see, laziness, lead butt. Physical laziness, lead butt. I have a huge one. So we do have that. And Tubarang all and Dambas, and the actual practice itself is enthusiasm. Oh, I'm sorry, now I'm neither finishing the refuge or now I'm beginning with, I better finish it. It is the basis of all vows. Then the next one is once I've elected the subject, seven you are. The negative karma, negative karmic blocks which we created before. When you say before, don't ask me when. We have such a habit. You say don't, you say why. And if you say so created early, you say when. Limitless of the beginning we have created negativities. So by taking refuge to Buddha, Dharma, and the Sangha, if you are lucky, it will be totally purified and even exhausted that negative karmas. But at least it reduced it. It made it thinner. It made it subtler. It reduces. Once I've elected Diva, subject, seven you are. Created, subtler, and even finished. Sonam je so dachambo sawa. it creates tremendous good karma, virtue karma, lucky karma, not lucky karma, but a luck, tremendous luck. I think I mentioned to you Uttadantara the other day. If the karma created by taking refuge, if it is the physical form, the whole world is too small. Whole galaxies are too small to fit in. Um, the waters of the ocean cannot be measured by taking your handful. So that's what the Buddhas talk about it. So it creates tremendous good karma. It also protects you from the obstacles of man and non-humans, particularly ghosts. Now it's near Halloween. If you have a ghost, worry about it and take a refuge, and that protects you. And also helps you to wish fulfill. This is important. Immediately you don't go fall in the lower realms, and ultimately you become Buddha. So this is a great benefit, particularly not falling into lower realms. This is our sort of really biggest threat on our neck. In one way, I had a friend who was Tibetan, who was Western educated and not very much having knowledge of Buddha Dharma and Tibetan Buddhism or Tibetan even. And language is excellent, but Dharma so-so. So he told me once, this is about, I think in 1960s or something. He told me, he said, what Buddhism did something for us is terrible. I said, what is it? He said that fear of going to fall into the hell realm, going to go into hell is a terrible fear, and that we never have that before if Buddhism doesn't talk about it. And they're not exposed to Judeo-Christian, so he doesn't know about it, you know. So he said, never think about it. And then you begin to talk about Buddhism. Now you keep the idea in it, and now you'll be afraid, you'll be worried, and you don't have a really good method of anything guaranteeing. So you made it miserable in our life. And that's what he told me. Very honest. That's how I think. That's how I felt it. It is. But the truth is, whether you are told or not told, you know, ignorance is not an excuse in the natural law. So whether you knew it or not knew it, if you fall in Lord, you will fall it. Whether you're worried or not worried. By worrying, it helps you because it gives you opportunity to protect. To protect. So taking refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, particularly remembering Buddha at the time of the transition, I'm talking about death. Buddha guarantees you not fall in lower realm. If you remember, and if you have taken refuge, if you're Buddhist. That doesn't mean you go and try to talk to your friend who have no idea about Buddhism, and at the time of the 11th hour, keep on talking about Buddha, 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 and that may create a negativity, even anger and all that, so you have to be very aware of it. But for you who have a little knowledge, little understanding, and just think about it, Buddha, don't forget. Buddha, and that protects you from falling into the lower realms. And this is one of those benefits. And that is also called temporary. Sort of short time, you don't fall in the lower realms. Long time, you will become fully enlightened Buddha. So what else you want? And then I did talk to you the difference between the Mahayana and the Theravada Buddha. Mahayana Buddha's refuge is included compassion, love. Love, compassion based refuge. And the Theravada refuge has a refuge, a total devotion, and all that, but it's not based on body mind. It's not based on compassion. That's the difference. So now, next week, I'm not going to talk to you about refuge anymore. And so, because, I wanted to finish that 3 weeks ago, and it's still lingering around. So then, what is really practice? That's the question. Practice is such, you must have a goal to achieve something. You're practicing for perfection, right? It's normal. Everybody does that. Why you practice your guitar? Because you wanted to be a good guitar player. And so same thing. Why you practice piano? Or every one of these musical instruments. Or even your own little, photographic or whatever. Whatever you practice, you do practice. Because you want it to be perfection. So in the spiritual path, what are you practicing? You want to achieve something. That is your object, your goal, your purpose. To achieve something. Even our Tibetan practices, if you read, you can see Dagi Zoba Sanji Kumban Tobar Chela, Simjan Tamja Koa Dungi Jazule Tani, Zoba Chanjuji de Walang Goverja, Tichi do blah blah blah, whatever. So I would like to become fully enlightened Buddha and lead all living beings in that stage, for which I'm going to do blah blah blah. You have that. Every sadhana, every practice you do. Even in our normal, usual, I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and the Sangha, and Sanjay Chodan? I forgot Sanjay Chodan, Sanjay Chodan, Sanjay Chodan, Chanjuba, Dagi, Jinsoji, Bendidak. So by practicing generosity, etc., may I become what? Or enlightened for the sake of all. So whatever you say, something like that. The particular word is Sanskrit word, and then becomes the Tibetan translation. So I only know the Tibetan translation. So in the English translation, some words differ here and there, but doesn't matter. You're saying the same thing. So it's telling you the purpose of your practice. Purpose of the Mahayana practice is is just to get me a better life, or just to make me a better human being, just to make me better this and that is not good enough. So really, because of this great life, great human capacity, great opportunity, great everything, with this, the best, if you don't make attempt to the best, and when will you make it? Not other life. You can't do it when you are rabbit. You cannot do it when you are yak. You cannot do it when you are fish. You cannot do it when you are dog. You cannot do it when you are cat, no matter how intelligent your cat may be. But it can do a lot of getting rid of mice. But what else, So it's automatically they do it. And because it's this habit, negative actions, addiction. So we call it naturally cat is mice. Yes, true. But it is the negative killing of the what do you call it? The addiction. That's what's happening. The dogs bite. The humans hit. Right? Buffaloes, what do you call that? Boom. They push your head and horn. Yeah? And or they charge. Elephants smash people, or taking the people by tongue and throw in the air. So all of those are natural habit, because it's addiction. More addicted to the negativities than positivities. So when you try to be nice and kind and good as much as you can, you're building an addiction. Even you are let's say, if you become an elephant, next time you will be kinder elephant than every other elephant. Such as, leading the all elephants in better way and a gentler way. Things like that. Even you fail to become human being and you become elephant. So anyway, so this is how negative addictions work, and that is why our really practice is building the positive acquaintance. And for the purpose of becoming Buddha, the goal is to become Buddha. Other than that, just free from suffering is not good enough. Just to have a better health is not good enough. Just to have a longevity, not good enough. Just to have a little more money, certainly not enough. Just to fulfill your getting the job or something like that, all that is not good enough at all for Mahayana. It is like a lion's milk putting into a tin cup. Honestly, it's a tremendous waste. So Mahayana path is such a precious path, so the purpose should be becoming Buddha. So every effort is geared towards that. If you don't become Buddha today, you try to become Buddha tomorrow, or the day after, the week after, the month after, the year after, the life after, and like that. That is how we do. And that is why body-mind is two-pronged mind, remember? One-pronged mind is totally committed to the service of living beings. What is that Maitreya Buddha's? Body-mind is seeking a total enlightenment for the benefit of others. So seeking enlightenment for me, by me, for me, but to benefit all living beings. Seeking enlightenment by me for others. By me for others. So it is such a commitment. It's no longer by me for me. It's not there. It is by me for all living beings. Even not only the spiritual practitioners, even good character people will always look for people's benefit. Look in our own constitution. By the people, for the people, right? So, for the people. So, that is the most important. And that people should include insects too. Insects and above. So all of those. So the nature of the practice itself is we talked at the beginning. And here what makes you do is enthusiasm. If you don't have enthusiasm, everything is, you know what the Indians used to say, Ayaram, Giyaram. So the Ram has come, Ram has gone. So it comes and goes and comes and goes. And so even you are kind and gentle, but comes and goes. And that is rather effortless. It's not good. So enthusiasm is natural practice. What does enthusiasm mean? Gelek Rimpoche, I think it is Basubandhu. Gelek Rimpoche. The nature of the enthusiasm is enjoying the virtues. Okay, enthusiasm for negativities are in our nature. We do have a lot. And that is not the enthusiasm what we're talking here. That becomes laziness. Opposite of that, and that is laziness. And that is laziness. The laziness is the subject that you have to discard it, and the enthusiasm is the attitude you have to take it in. And that makes the practice perfect. So here, after the focus, purpose, base, and all that, and now they are talking about the ways and how is enthusiasm. So 3 different enthusiastics. So Baba Bole, I'll talk to you next week, next Sunday. What is next Sunday? 12th, I'll be here. Oh, please don't forget, from November onwards, we're going to have this 11 o'clock, not at 10. When the time changes, we also plus time change plus, we move from 10 to 11. So the Sunday talks are from 11 to 12, not from 10 to 11 for that time change period. Daylight? No, this is not daylight saving. What's called this? Winter timing? Standard timing. Okay. So not only time change, but also we change our time too. Okay, and that's it. Thank you.